Hey guys, Scarlet97 again. This time with a review of the 1/72nd scale Blockhead from the Fang of the Sun Diagram series. And thanks to this very handy color guide leaflet, we know exactly what colors this guy has. For most of the body, he has a very cool blood red. And for a military machine, that sounds like a pretty badass color. Then the second main color on the thing is light blue-gray. And you know, kind of to contrast the blood red, this color does kind of feel like it's a cross between very light baby blue and gray. But you know what? It doesn't look too bad together. Then, the other color we get is dark green, but on the model kit itself, it looks a bit more like moss green rather than really dark green. And then, when we turn him around along with the leaflet, we also get iron blue for the top of the hands here, for the elbows, and also for the back of the knees, so essentially for the joints. And you know, this one here apparently is a different color, papru bleu, though on the model kit, the color for the mag gun is the same as the rest of the body. So, you know, you can choose which color you want this thing to be. Other than that, we also get some clear parts. We get clear for, of course, the visor and also for the searchlight in his mouth. Unfortunately, there isn't an LED in there, which is something you might have expected for the price, but it's clear, so, you know, if you want to try to put an LED in there, go ahead. And then we also get a very nice sheet of water slide decals. And you know, we get the usual markings, we get some warnings, rank things, insignia for the Earth Federation, and also two red pieces here, just in case you wouldn't want to paint the sub camera on top or on the back here. And the cool thing is they are molded in clear plastic, so if you want to paint them and still have a translucent effect, just paint them red or paint them in whatever color you want, because they're clear plastic. Or if you don't want to paint, you can simply use these two stickers. And also, very much attention to detail here, these are actually for the control panel, which you can hardly see when you're just looking at the model, but it is very cool. They included them nonetheless, just for that extra bit of accuracy. Moving on with the articulation, the head, nothing at all, absolutely nothing, other than, of course, the machine guns here go up and down individually, which is rather nice, but unfortunately they don't really go down a whole lot, and this looks kind of like an anti-infantry gun, and it does a pretty poor job aiming for infantry that could possibly ride at its feet, so, you know, that's a bit of a bummer there. But moving on with the arms, and this was going to be the biggest deal, because the Saltix and the Diagram had really bad shoulders. This thing, absolutely perfect. So I was really happy when I saw that go up really nicely. Turn around all the way, and the shoulders aren't falling off. They did a magnificent job on this. So the shoulders themselves are in ball joints. Then you have a hinge here to move them forwards a bit more. Then they rotate around below the shoulder and also below the elbow. The elbow itself is on a double joint, but that is about as far as you're going to get. And the hands are ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. Then the one weak joint on this machine, the waist joint, is on a ball joint, so we'll be able to turn around a little bit and wiggle around. Unfortunately, you won't turn around all the way. This is about as far as you're going to get before the back skirt starts falling off. Then the legs, this here goes forward, and I'll go forward about that far, backwards like this. Not too bad considering the design. Out about that far, not a whole lot, but hey, also some backwards and forwards movement. And let's just put this to the side. Then the knees are double jointed, and as the design probably hinted, not very articulate either. And then the feet go forwards a bit, backwards a bit, side to side nicely, and we'll also rotate around a bit. And if you're very careful, you can get them to turn around all the way. Overall, in terms of articulation, it's kind of what you would expect from it. It's a very bulky machine, so you know articulation definitely suffers because of the design of the combat armor itself. Moving on to accessories, and let's start with what's already on the machine itself. So of course have the machine guns, which I already showed. We have some missile launchers, which are articulated, go up and down, and we also get 2 pilot figures in the machine. We have one in the main cockpit in the head, and then when you remove the head, there is also another pilot down there. I just carefully put that back. And then on each arm, we have double anti-armor rifles, which, to be honest, look more like machine guns, but hey, anti-armor rifles sounds a hell of a lot more powerful. But in case you want power, we get the mag launcher. It could use some paint, has a bit of articulation, the side stock here goes up and down, but the big sin this thing commits is hollow parts, right there. And for a model kit this expensive, having hollow parts in such a silly location is absolutely unacceptable. But hey, other than that, the mag launcher looks very, very nice. And of course, we want to hold on to the stock, so we get the open holding hand for the left, and this thing is really designed in order to hold the mag launcher. When you look at it, you see the way the inside of the hand is molded, and that is specifically designed for this pose. Because when you look at it from the bottom, once I get this thing in here, like that, there we go. Come on. There we go. You will see that the stock goes exactly along this edge the way it was molded, so they did a really good job with that holding hand. And it goes again, there we go. Then the final accessory that we get is this thing. Just in case you wouldn't want to use the mag launcher, you can remove this panel, put this instead, then remove this panel, and you can put the mag launcher on the back. Unfortunately, once you have this panel on the mag launcher, removing it without damaging that panel is going to be very tricky. It's pretty thin, and there isn't really any room to put your nail underneath there, so your only option is going to be something like a very thin knife, and that, you know, has quite a big possibility of ruining this piece because of how thin it is. But, you know, there's no real reason to put the mag launcher on the back anyway. Now, I said this was a final accessory that we get. That means there is still something extra you can do. This hole is normally covered up by this thing, and now the manual doesn't tell you anything about it. But as I always say, holes like this, which look specifically designed for something, don't just happen to be on a model kit, even if the manual doesn't tell you that you can do something with it. This is the 6-tube, well, not 6-tube, let's see, 7-tube launcher from the Soltic. And lo and behold, it fits in there. Absolutely perfect. And now you can put the other one on the other side. Soltic does come with 2 of these, so if you want to give your Soltic one, which is, I think, what he always used in the anime. I don't think the Soltic was really seen using 2 of these launchers in the anime. So, if you have a Soltic and you want to make him anime accurate, you will have a spare one. Why not give it to the Blockhead for some extra firepower? Or, you know, just give your Soltic 2 of them. Let's put that back on there. There we go. Still kind of funny that the manual didn't mention that you can, in fact, use this. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? Yes, but also no. One thing is for absolute sure, and that is that this is the latest, but also the greatest in Max Factory's Fang of the Sun Dagram line. And the one thing I really like seeing about this line is that with every new model kit, they improve. The big improvement here, the shoulders. They were absolutely fantastic. It didn't pop off at all. Sure, the waist still pops off, but that's nowhere near as bad for posing. I mean, all you have to do with the waist is turn it slightly to the side, and that's going to be your pose. Your shoulders is where you're going to be posing him a lot. So, poseability, absolutely fantastic. Solidness, great. Articulation, it is what it should be. It's a bulky machine. It's not going to have super duper great articulation. Accessories, once again, you get what you should get. It looks good. You don't need a lot of painting. It's big. It's badass. But it is also equally expensive. At 5,565 yen, because 4 5s in a row just don't look that good, it is by far the most expensive of the Dagram kits. And you know, you could almost say that it's very close to twice as expensive as the other ones, but hey, that is very, very expensive for what is. Sure, it's a hell of a lot bigger when you compare it to the Soltic or the Dagram. It's bigger and bulkier, so in a sense, when compared to the Dagram and the Soltic, the price makes sense. And when you look at how solid it is compared to the Soltic and the Dagram, it makes sense when you compare the Soltic and the Blockhead in terms of accessories. Once again, the price definitely does kind of seem to make sense, but at the same time, that does not mean that the price isn't massive. And, you know, even though it's pretty big compared to the Soltic and the Dagram, when you compare it to rivaling model kits such as Bandai, for example, with their Gundam kits, you can buy a high-end master grade for 5,500 yen. That is a very high-end thing you can buy, and that's going to be a hell of a lot better. So, yeah, I could recommend this to a very big Dagram fan. If you really like Dagram, this is the best kit out there so far. It absolutely blows the Soltic and especially the Dagram out of the water. So, it's great. And if you're willing to pay that amount of money, you're going to get a great model kit. But if you're not a super fan or you're not completely sure whether or not you really want to pick this up, there are a ton of better options out there to buy. And you know, this is really something for the big Dagram fans out there. The Soltic or the Dagram, you know, for that price tag, yeah, it's expensive, but it's not that super expensive. This thing just crossed the line of 5,000 yen, and that's when we get in the league of the big boys. And for some more size and price comparisons, here is next to the 1/44 scale Gym Custom at 1,300 yen, and the 1/44 scale Zaku 3, which is equally as bulky as the Blockhead, at 1,500 yen. I think you can kind of start to see my point about the price being a bit hefty. Moving on to the monster grade line I just mentioned, here is next to the 2,500 yen 1/100 scale Jim Kai Space Type and the 4,200 yen Ailstrike Gundam Remaster. And sure, in size he's kind of similar, but in terms of articulation, accessories, and all kinds of other stuff such as inner frame, these two absolutely beat him out of the water, which is why 5,565 yen is a very, very high price for what you are getting. As a closing note, I would like to say that I am very much looking forward to their next model, and I really wonder what is going to be. My guess would be either the Bushman or maybe the Crab Gunner, if they're not just gonna go the bipedal combat armor route. And the main reason for that is because, well, it definitely looks like with every new model kit they put out, they make some kind of improvement. Like I said, when going from the Dagram to the Saltic, they've stabilized the ankles a lot. The Dagram does have some issues with them. And then the Blockhead came around and fixed the shoulders. And for the price the Blockhead had, I almost didn't buy it because it was so expensive and because of the problems the previous model kits had. And my faith in Max Factory has definitely been rewarded with an actually stable model kit. And the Blockhead definitely feels like it's what it should be. It's not like major improvements still have to be made. This is a very acceptable base for future models. And if that's the only problem they're going to have, like a bit of paint here and there, and a waist that likes to pop off, I won't have any problems throwing some money towards Max Factory's way. And well, that's all for this review, and see you guys next time. Oh, you didn't think I forgot about this thing, did ya? My wallet sure as hell hasn't.